All right, let's talk LSU and Oklahoma. I found a stat today that absolutely knocked my socks off. And full disclosure, we in the media, whether it's print, broadcast, radio, television, whatever, we lean on sports information departments to come up with a lot of good nuggets, and they do that. Michael Bonnet and his team over at LSU are fantastic. I don't know who the SID is at Oklahoma, and I don't know how obvious this stat was in watching the games, but man, is it impressive to look at when they put it in print earlier this week. Oklahoma has lost 6 games this year. In those 6 losses, they have been outscored on the turnover margin 58-7. 6 losses, 58-7 on turnovers. And you go, yeah, that's pretty sizable. You're going to lose a lot of games. You turn the ball over like that, and you give up a lot of points on those turnovers. That makes a lot of sense. But it's compounded. In Oklahoma's 5 wins this year, they've won points off turnover 77-8. That is a massive swing. We know that turnovers are oftentimes the biggest determination in who wins an evenly matched football game. Yes, LSU can turn the ball over 3 times in a game against Nichols, and they're still going to win the game. But you play a conference game, no matter what level, and you lose the turnover battle, you're probably going to lose. This isn't losing and winning the turnover battle. This is absolutely getting eviscerated or pummeling an opponent on turnovers. Again, those numbers. In their 6 losses, they've been outscored 58-7 via turnovers. In their 5 wins, they have outscored opponents 77-8. Jalen Milroe, 3 interceptions back on Saturday. Oklahoma wins that game 24-3. We know that turnovers have been a bugaboo for Garrett Nussmeier this year. He did not turn the ball over in the game against Vanderbilt, and LSU was incredibly efficient. Their defense held up when they were given the entire field to do so in, and LSU won the game. I feel like they won it comfortably. That's probably a lot to save a 7-point game, but I felt like they won it comfortably. But we know that you turn the football over, avalanches can happen like they did in College Station. And you don't want to coach aggressiveness out of a player. You don't want to cut the legs out from under Garrett Nussmeier by telling him to eat the football. But when you look at Oklahoma and you look at what they've been on offense this year, and we went through all those numbers yesterday on the show. 15th out of 16 teams in scoring offense. 16th in total offense, that's dead last. 16th in yards per carry, that's dead last. 16th in passing offense, that's dead last. 16th in sacks allowed, that's dead last. You start to roll these things up. Their offense cannot consistently go 75, 80, 85 yards if you're kicking off and punting and handling your business in the field position. But their offense can go a short distance. Their defense can create points. And they've done that this year, and they did that last year. Billy Bowman Jr., their safety, has got 4 touchdowns in his career on defense. He's got 11 interceptions. I hate to boil a game down into one stat, and I'm not going to boil this game down into one statistic because it's not one statistic. There are a number of factors that are going to bear out. But it stands to reason. If Garrett Nussmeier does not turn the ball over via the interception or in like Alabama when he fumbled the ball, that Oklahoma's going to have a hard time scoring enough points. Their defense is good. We went over that yesterday too. And I think they'll get some stops against LSU. I think they'll give LSU a difficult time on the ground. But man, that turnover number is just massive. And it makes all the sense in the world. So this week, I do think Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly need to sit with Garrett Nussmeier and go, look, man, there are probably some games where LSU has to try to make a play. Like last year, like Jaden Daniels can't give up on a play against Ole Miss or Missouri last year. Like you've got to go make a play because your defense is going to give up a lot of points and you've got to keep up. That is not the case on Saturday. Taking a sack on third down, that's fine. I know you got to punt. That's okay. I heard Joe Burrow say that in a Barstool interview back in the summer. and they were talking about how often he gets sacked. And it says, yeah, we got to look into context of when those sacks happen. Third down sack, who cares? We're punting anyway. You take a sack on first down, and it's 1st and 18, as opposed to throwing it away for 2nd and 10, or 2nd and 18 instead of 2nd and 10. Well, that really hurts the team. Third down sacks, what's the difference? And that's kind of the mindset that Garrett Nussmeier needs to take into this game. No, I'm not telling you don't stretch the field. The exact opposite, actually. You need to stretch the field. I'm not telling you that we're just going to play conservative and try to win this thing 14-10. But you do have to realize what's on the other side of you. And I know that Oklahoma ran for 250 last week, and they scored 24 points on Alabama, and they're changing the offense with the new offensive coordinator. But let's be real honest. If Oklahoma comes in here and scores 35 points on Saturday, I'll be stunned. Because they haven't shown they can do that against anybody. So that number that I saw today, I just looked at it and I went, we know turnovers are important. When you look at how reliant Oklahoma has been on them in their wins, you realize what you're looking at. That's the number one matchup I see in this game. The second is what we talked about yesterday, Jackson Arnold's legs trying to run against LSU's front seven. Lenora Sellers, Jalen Milroe, Marcel Reed diced LSU up big way. Diego Pavia and Taylor Green did not. I can't tell you specifically why that happened in each of those specific games. I just know that it did. So that's matchup number 2 that you've got to look at. And then number 3, I think, for LSU and Oklahoma in this game is Oklahoma's linebacker and their linebacking core, but specifically Danny Stutzman, who is one of the best linebackers that Oklahoma has ever had. He is going to finish in the top 5 in Oklahoma history in tackles for loss. He ranks 4th in the SEC in tackles this season with 100, and they're really good against the run. They're 6th in the country in yards per carry allowed at just 2.9, and if you go to just the last 5 games, they're allowing 2.6. Ole Miss, who isn't great running the ball, but has been pretty good over the last couple of years with Lane Kiffin, their longest run in Oklahoma was 9 yards. Jalen Milroe only gained 29 yards on 15 carries against these guys. We know how much easier things get for LSU when they do run the ball. They did run it against South Carolina. They scored a lot of points on a good defense that day. They did run the ball last week against Vanderbilt, and they controlled the game. They controlled the clock. They ran the ball against Arkansas. They controlled that game. They did not run it against Alabama. They did not run it in the second half against A&M, and we know what that means. So that's the other matchup here that is vital in this game. So it's the turnovers, Nussmeier against an opportunity defense. It's LSU's ability to corral the running game and LSU's ability to block Oklahoma specifically at the second level and create some things on the ground. Those are the 3 issues that I look at in this game and say LSU needs to control those. If they do, I don't think Oklahoma can come into Tiger Stadium and win. If they don't, I think it's going to be a long day for LSU, because that's exactly the formula that Oklahoma wants to use to win games, and they were able to do it last week. They got the 3 interceptions. They ran the ball, especially with their quarterback, and they stopped the run. That's the recipe. And I realize that you can apply that to a lot of games, but Oklahoma doesn't have a lot of versatility on the team. That's why they're a 5-6 football team. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.